In this video, I'm going to show you how to patch plaster without using any sealer whatsoever. That's right, no PVA, no SBR, just patch plaster. Don't believe me? Watch this. We're going to go out to a little job for old Jerry, my builder mate. He's had to move a doorway, and it's like in the old external wall of the house. Now there's an extension. Anyway, so you can imagine the wall's like this thick, and he built the doorway and we plastered it in. But apparently the customer, it was on the wrong side of the wall, so he's had to move it to the other side. So we've got to go back and patch that up for him now. So we don't know what we're walking into. It could be an absolute bomb site. It could just be all smashed to bits, or it could be nice and neat. Now, knowing Jerry, it'll be nice and ready for us, but we'll see. We'll see what we want to turn up to. If any of you guys have got OCD, don't even look in here. Now, I've got OCD. I like it being lovely, but Kieran packs this up, so this is what I have to deal with on a daily basis. I got this van, so I could just walk straight in the back, and now I can't. I mean, anyway. I'm not moaning. We're having a nice day today, aren't we, Kieran?
Yes.
No moaning today. Should we go and have a look at what we're going to do? Have a look at this job. Oh, why are these even in here? So, this is what we're going to do. This door casing's been moved from that side to that side, so there's just this to patch up around here. Now, ultimately, because that's bare plaster, we're not going to put sealer on it. We're just going to wet it down. The reason being is if we put sealer on that, when they come to paint it, it'll flash. So if we just wet it, there'll be no problem for the decorator then. Right, do you know when you're an apprentice and you're being taught by someone and they want you to do exactly how they do things? I used to always get told off for this. The old fella, when he taught me, my old man, he used to always want me to use a tape measure to measure beads and then cut them like that. I just find it easier to hold them up. I mean, look at that. Look, just fits perfect. I don't know what the problem was. I was always getting in trouble for it every day. Measure your beads. Stop doing it like that. But look, in a minute, I'll show you a little trick. I'll show you the way where even if the bead, because he used to say to me, when the beads are too long and you can't get them in, then you'll have to measure them. But I found a way around that as well. I'll show you now. There you go, look. It touches the ceiling and it's still longer than the skirting board, so it doesn't fit in. So just give it a little snip there, bend that over. There's my little cheat hack. Now I know if my old fella watches this, I'll be getting a phone call off him. Don't be showing them cowboy ways, son. I taught you better than that. Well, anyway, look, it still works. And it'd be perfect as well, Dad, so. Perfect. Let's get a few little bits of scrimming now. Now, Jerry, God bless him, flipping fantastic builder. He's put the reveals and the heading for me, and he's put loads of adhesive, so everywhere I put a nail, I got a fixing. No complaints whatsoever. This is what you love with the old boys. They know exactly what they're doing. Now, if you're going to blend in with no sealer, which is actually easier when you go over bare plaster. Kieran's looking at me with an intense look, and I'm just looking and thinking, why is he looking like that? So, if you're going to blend in with no sealer, then you need to damp it down. So, and wet it all down. Now, the thing with it is, you'll notice that it dries in quite quick. So you've got to keep doing this. And it will reach a point where the plaster can't drink anymore. So you'll see, it's glistening on the surface, and then it sucks it in and it goes like lighter. Now ultimately we need to keep going until it stops doing that, until it just literally the water sits on the surface, until that background plaster is fully saturated. I'm not going to blend it now, I'm going to take it out to the corner. I'll be grease skim over all this. And this is fine to do. It's fine to plaster over plaster without sealer. In fact, it's better. Much better. It adheres well, but you've just got to kill that suction first by doing this. And not just a little bit. It's not enough to just do that and then start plastering. That will dry out. Look, it starts to dry there now. It's glistening there, it starts to dry there. Give it another 2 minutes and it'll dry out. So you've got to do this a few times until it's fully drenched. And then you're good to go. Now Kieran was looking at me with an absolute look of rage in his eyes because he gets in so much trouble when he misses a little bit with sealer. All the time I bang on about do not miss a square inch, it has to be perfect, the sealer's got to be spot on. And now I'm telling him he doesn't need sealer. Needs to have a bit of room to blend in. You know, I don't want to do that bit and have to blend into there. I want to give myself a nice bit of space to blend in, so you know, a good foot. Just looking fell out to nothing. This is great if you want to do this. If you've got a big ceiling and you want to join it together, or a big wall and you can't do one whole, you know, the whole wall in one go because it's too big. You could end up on a stairwell with a scaffolding, like in a block of apartments, and you can't literally get down. This is a way that you can blend plaster into each other. Now, if you use PVA or SBR when you're blending in, and you put it onto neat plaster, what happens with the PVA is, you put the PVA glue on the neat plaster, the plaster will draw the moisture out of PVA and you end up with a little skin on the surface, and when you're trying to blend in, it can tear the PVA and you get chunks of dried out PVA that hasn't cured properly dragging into your plaster. So that's why I don't like using PVA on bare plaster, and it flashes, it causes the decorator, the bit of your fresh plaster is fine. Let's just say that the bit where I'll put fresh plaster, when that's blended in, will be fine. The old plaster will be fine. The bit of PVA that's left in the middle still exposed, it puts like a funny shade around. When you can try and paint over it, it ends up drying out a different colour, ever so slightly. Not always, but I have been notified by plasterers in the past. So that's why ultimately you always want to just blend plaster into plaster without using a sealer. I patch up usually with SBR if I'm going over a painted surface, and I could use SBR on this, but ultimately this is just easier, believe it or not. So, but you've just got to make sure it's well damped down. So you'll notice I'll damp it down about 4 or 5 times. If you just skim the wall, if you've literally just skimmed that, say I've just skimmed the top half of this wall and I want to skim the bottom half, if I've done that in the morning, and I'm doing the bottom half in the afternoon and blend it in, not that you do that on this wall, but you know, to give you an example, you don't need to wet it down. When the plaster's still just set, it's still damp, it's still in this state, it doesn't need damping down. Just as the plaster dries out, you leave it till the next day or anything after that, you'd have to damp it down again. Right, look now, see that shine staying on it, that glisten? The plaster is fully saturated, Stans. Can you see that shine?
Yeah, I can see you through it. I can see you.
Yeah, see how it's not going in? There it is, that's dried in there, you can see the difference, it stops there, it goes there. That's fully saturated. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put the head and the vittles on first, because they're over plasterboard to have the most time with them, and I'll put the blend on afterwards, and before, I'll put these on, and then I'll give that one last damp down before I put that on. But just so you know, whilst it is still glistening, you want to wait for that glisten just to go, just as it goes, then put your plaster on. If you go over it when it is still like that with water on the surface, your plaster will slide a little bit, so you just want that to go. But now, the fact that that glisten's staying there tells me that that plaster's fully saturated in water. So that's what I want. So as soon as that just goes off the surface, I can skim it. Oh, the last job I did was K-Ren, so still back of my trowel still covered in it. Okay, carbon steel trowel. So you get a little bit of rust coming on it here and there. Yeah, it literally doesn't matter. I mean, if the whole thing was cankered in, must have given it a little rub. But that, by the time I give it the first trowel, that'll be gone. There'll be nothing on there. Just spending my time making sure I don't get it all over the casings. This is just the type of job I like to do on a Saturday. Not too much, especially whilst my knee hurts. I haven't got to go up and down trestles or up and down ladders. I wish we could have little jobs like this all day, you know. Fucking great. Just if you could just get enough of them so you could cover the bills, that'd do me just doing this all day. That's the inside here, and as I said before I do the blend, so give it one last little go around. Now remember, this only works on bare plaster. If there's a coat of paint on it, you cannot do it like this, it has to be sealed. If there's any paint on the wall, you have to seal it. This only works on bare plaster, so please do not get that bit wrong and think you can blend in without sealer if the wall's painted. Now, still a bit of a glisten. The plaster could potentially slide on that bit, so I'm going to leave that a minute. I'll just do up there and down here where it's not glistening just yet. I am pressing the Tomy trowel, just making sure that blend is already getting started off now, not leaving any ridges. I'm using the same system, you know, my little system I use, don't you? Put it on, take a little bit, go in neat. Put it on, take a little bit, go in neat. That's it now. Let our first coat pick up a little bit. And then before we second coat, I won't brush over this. I'll just go over the edge again with a bit of water, and then that'll be ready for the second coat. Now look, you know this bit was over plasterboard. Look, we've left it now for about 40 minutes. I can make finger marks in it, but it's not sticking to me. It's basically, you know, it's going off. Left that quite long. Now, even though this is on plaster, it hasn't been sealed, it's been damped down. Look, I can still do the same here. See, it's not pulling in any faster than the plasterboard, just because we drenched it enough. So now, we'll give it the second coat. And before I do the second coat, I'm just going to give it one little wet on the blend. I'm not doing the whole thing, I'm just literally just wetting the blend. And you're going to do that every time you trowel over it, just give that a little wet now. Sorry, I was a little bit muffled then because I'm not looking at the camera and speaking. What I was just saying was I'm not going to brush the whole of the plaster, I'm just going to brush the blend. So I'm always making sure that I'm pushing on that blend and feathering it in, even at these first stages. And every time I go over it, I brush the blend in with some water. Drop a little bit. Shh. Fine, how much stuff's in there. I did say to Kieran we need about just under half a bucket, so he decided to knock up another bucket. And I think he's going to want to mix a little touch more again. It makes it more exciting for you, doesn't it, Kieran?
I think we'll be alright.
Now I know what you're thinking, it might seem like a bit of a waste to bring two fellas all the way out here just to do this tiny little job, but whilst I was here, we closed the deal on K-renting the whole house, so we're back in September for about a month's worth of work. When I put the second coat on, I'm just going out a bit further so you can see where the line of that is. I'm just taking it out past that as well. And I'm not just curling the bead out either. Make sure you go up and down, working out to the bead. Always whenever you work into beads, go up and down. The last thing you want is the wall curved, they're concave, like a letter C. Come under here, under here, so you don't get it all over the casings. Put it on, take a little bit, in neat. I'll take a bit, neat. Take a little bit, really neat. Ultimately, you want to be able to put all this on without getting any on the door casings and having to clean them down. The less mess you make, the less cleaning you have to do. And it's less waste. You know, customers aren't panicking because there's plaster flying everywhere. Just take your time. Slow and steady is faster than going like a madman and making a mess. Yeah, the stuff's always setting, you have to work efficiently because it's going off, but flailing your arms around everywhere, trying to do things 100 miles an hour, just get used to doing the same little technique. I swear to God that phone rings 50 times a day, it drives me nuts. Are we filming?
Aye.
Aye. Right. That's it now, that's just my second coating, so it's time to flatten it. It's a little bit wet, but ultimately we're going to flatten it anyway. Brush the blend. Always wet the blend, always, every single time you go over it, wet that blend. Now, what you'll start to see is, if Kieran comes a bit closer, this blends in, come over here, this blends in so much easier than going over sealer. This literally blends in beautiful, every single time. Oh, it's not drying too fast, still wet. I'll tell you, that was another one of my old fella's pet hates. Putting the fat of the plaster on the inside of the water bucket. Just shows you, doesn't it? Every fella's got a different way of doing stuff. As long as you get the right outcome, that's the main thing. Just be careful when you come up to your angles and your reveals, or any angles, that you don't dig in. So I just go very close that way, very close to it. Take a bit of gear there. See how I'm using that as a place to put stuff. I just put it up there so I can get it there where I want it, and then I can insert it in there, pull it out. That's done. And the same again on there. I'll just put it there. I'll take it so I can put it where I want it. You know, fill the angles out nicely. You can literally use the surface a little bit like a handboard. You know when you want to get a bit of stuff. Say there was a little hole there, for instance, like that. You know, rather than just trying to push a big blob in it or go over the casing, then just put it there. Take a little bit. Done. It's just a case of getting comfortable with that, you know, making this trowel feel like an extension of your body. I know there's certain parts of Kieran's body that definitely needs an extension.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an extension. Right, you leave it now. I've flattened it in. I'm going to do the first wet trowel. As you can see, it's still staying quite wet on that though. Now, I'm not going to bore you with going through the first wet trowel, the second wet trowel, and the polish. I'll just come back at the end and just show you how it's blended in. Oh, before I do go, just remember, every time you go over this, brush the blend, and remember, this is starting to set here, so the blend looks like it's there, but it's not, it's actually here. Okay, so this still needs to travel up. It starts going darker and working its way in, so make sure you don't just do it when it changes colour, you actually come out a bit further, because it's... See there, that's actually a blend there. You'd think it's there, but it's not, it's actually over here. Okay, so just keep your eye on where you've actually got a trowel out to. Don't ask me why that was sideways. I know it's giving you seasickness, but Kieran was operating the camera, so there you go. So just a quick polish. Blended in, absolutely perfect. It'll be nice and easy for the paint. The paint will just cover it evenly. There's no different suctions in the background for the paint or anything. It'll just blend in perfect. There you go. That's how you do a patch using nothing but water. Now go and watch 10 more of my videos. I love you. Ciao.